What began as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's earnest bid to rekindle their shattered global reputation through charitable works in the Commonwealth has instead detonated into a cataclysmic scandal of historic proportions for the royal family. An explosive investigative report published by the esteemed Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Huriwa, has leveled a devastating salvo of accusations alleging Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's recent tour across the West African nation devolved into a neo-colonial horror exhibition rife with appalling human rights violations, corruption, and imperious racism. In the blistering 200-page communiqué supported by over 10,000 pages of exhibits including photos, videos, testimonies, and travel documentation, Huriwa systematically dismantles every aspect of the Sussex's highly publicized Mercy initiative across Nigeria last month as nothing more than a tawdry grift operation, designed to fleece impoverished local communities while perpetuating condescending paternalism symbolic of the very worst despotisms previously inflicted under the British Empire. The Human Rights Monitor's bombshell accusations have already set off shockwaves across palace halls while reigniting global furors threatening to forever toxify Harry and Meghan's tarnished philanthropic brands. The sheer scope and depravity of abuses we uncovered trailing this couple's neo-colonial vaudevillian circus caravan across Nigeria beggar belief, even amidst our collective national PTSD still persisting from the ravages of British imperial rule and Biafran genocide, thundered Huriwa's national coordinator Comrade Emmanuel Onwuebiko during the group's press conference accompanied by alleged victims paraded before television cameras in tears. From the moment Prince Harry and his bat-winged mixed-heritage spouse Meghan Markle set foot on our sovereign soil while shrouded as some modern-day repentant penitents, our team documented a full-fledged reign of terror deploying the very same brutality and institutional racism that enabled Britain's Raj to fleece our ancestors blind for centuries before. For their shameless Brendaville roadshow to profess itself under humanitarian auspices is an unpardonable obscenity considering the vast trail of destitute souls they've traumatized. The damning Huriwa report singles out over 24 specific incidents cataloging an array of alleged severe misconduct, criminality, and grievous bodily harm directly inflicted by the Duke and Duchess private security entourage during their 2-week itinerary through Nigeria beginning April 17. Among the most severe accusations include the royal tourists purchasing illicit alcohols from local distilleries syndicated with Boko Haram insurgents, dispatching British military contractors to terrorize and electrify impoverished civilian townships while clearing their convoy routes, and even orchestrating a mass medical quarantine under the guise of vaccinations in order to herd Nigerian youth into undisclosed migrant labor camps abroad. In Otukpo district we documented countless sworn testimonies from villagers alleging the Sussex's mercenary forces inflicted violent reprisals for any unauthorized public gatherings along their parade course, Onwuebiko added while displaying disturbing video clips appearing to corroborate the alleged war crimes. Several unarmed teenage bystanders suffered disfiguring rubber bullet lacerations and discharges of tear gas canisters, all under the directives of Caucasian males evading Nigerian police forces. When interrogated by our organization, one of the militiamen confessed via body cam audio they'd been contracted to enact a total perimeter sanitation, securing the royals' arrival no matter the civilian cost. The alleged human rights catastrophes further extend to the plateau state environs surrounding Jos, where the UN monitoring group claims the Duchess facilitated a full-scale roundup of homeless youth through a sham inoculation drive misrepresented as an anti-tuberculosis campaign. However, graphic body cam videos obtained by Huriwa's investigators appear to show Meghan expressly ordering several adolescent boys and girls onto medic buses ostensibly bound for refugee sanctuary camps, only for multiple Hausa bystanders to later testify their children were never processed for any vaccinations and transferred instead into large cargo trucks bound for ports in Lagos. The numerous matching accounts we gathered indicate hundreds if not thousands of young Nigerians were essentially kidnapped off the streets and pavements throughout Jos before being packed into likely human trafficking vessels, all while the Duchess sneered down her twitten nose about finally cleaning out the beggars in the name of her vacuous urban renewal initiatives, the coordinator said while displaying witness video clips capturing unsettling scenes of African minors being manhandled and tossed indiscriminately into freight containers by armed white militants guarding the makeshift medical tents. And as horrific as these crimes against humanity are, we have tracked the most gut-wrenching evidence trailing these royal degenerates' final throes of carnage across Port Harcourt and the Niger Delta itself, where thousands of innocent riverain villagers remain missing and unaccounted for. If the meticulously compiled Huriwa report proves even partially substantiated, the Sussexes' purported egregious violations of international humanitarian laws and sovereign statutes will almost certainly galvanize unprecedented global condemnation already mounting amidst calls for prosecution. The Nigerian NGO's unsparing revelations have already obliterated Buckingham Palace's strategic crisis communications containment plan before it could materialize, with damning video snippets and documentation continuing to proliferate unabated across African continental news cycles in a relentless social media rout against the royal reputations. The mere imagery alone captures graphic visions the Crown has long sought to exorcise once and for all from global memory, never to be resurrected. Just before storming out of the UN Human Rights Commission's emergency session under a torrent of jeering in Geneva last evening, incandescent British government representatives strive to discredit the Nigerian NGO's allegations as a coordinated, deep-fake, propaganda operation manufacturing malicious simulations and fraudulent audio-video evidence for possible state adversaries. However, such desperate claims already rang hollow given the monitoring group's corroboration originating from dozens of civilian Nigerians apparently possessing no such modalities. To dissemble in the face of mass casualties and destitution so visibly documented by our teams on the ground across Nigeria is the lowest diplomatic nadir in recent memory. Onwuebiko shot back defiantly while pledging to mobilize Huriwa's entire continental fact-finding networks to further exhume evidence on the crimes imputed to the royal couple. Before our very eyes we have witnessed the Duke and Duchess' alleged revival of Britain's most barbaric colonial cruelties, casting themselves in the sickening traditions of Haldane and Kitchener's merciless forays plowing across our communities just a century removed. Only this time, rather than exploiting our subjugated ancestors through taxation and feudal savagery, these imperious scions abused our citizens to further incubate Buckingham's most lucrative human trafficking rackets and sweatshop enslaveries on the black market. While King Charles III and the House of Windsor's embattled press apparatus now face an existential crisis spiraling out of control nearly unprecedented in modern times, the Nigerians rallying behind Huriwa's cause célèbre appear in no mood to relent until justice prevails. Having captured the global media maelstrom's attention, the storied African human rights monitors promise to submit their mountainous cache of whistleblowers and forensic evidence to the International Criminal Court for prosecution against the Duke and Duchess to commence through official channels. After centuries of depravity inflicted against Africa's most vulnerable masses under the boot heel of British imperial hegemony, our organization has delivered an ultimatum signaling no further quarter shall be granted to any vestiges resurrecting those crimes against our people, no matter their hollow philanthropic pretenses, Onwuebiko vowed as his coalition's legal battalions amassed throughout The Hague. For Nigeria's cries of outrage and body bags loaded with the royal accessories' latest victims have finally reached the unignorable threshold, triggering the full wrath of international tribunals and judgments. Perhaps only behind steel-barred cells far removed from their inherited opulence and entitlement will the British Crown's most contemptible descendants finally comprehend what true humanity represents beyond their aristocratic sneers.